We are starting our story, The Velveteen Rabbit. It's a very special story about a much loved rabbit. So, sitting with me today is a very pretty little rabbit I have. She's not velvet, but she is very soft. And she likes to sit. So I'm going to sit her right here behind me. Okay? And we will begin the story. There was once a Velveteen Rabbit, and in the beginning he was really splendid. He was fat and bunchy, as a rabbit should be. His coat was spotted brown and white. He had real thread whiskers, and his ears were lined with pink sateen. This is actually kind of pink satin. On Christmas morning, when he was wedged in the top of the boy's stocking, with a sprig of holly between his paws, the effect was charming. There were other things in the stocking: nuts and oranges, a toy engine, and chocolate almonds, and a clockwork mouse. But the rabbit was quite the best of all. For at least 2 hours the boy loved him, and then aunts and uncles came to dinner, and there was a great rustling of tissue paper and unwrapping of parcels, and in the excitement of looking at all the new presents the Velveteen Rabbit was forgotten. And there he is hanging in the stocking. For a long time he lived in the toy cupboard or on the nursery floor, and no one thought very much about him. He was naturally shy, and being only made of velveteen, some of the more expensive toys quite snubbed him. The mechanical toys thought they were very superior, and they looked down upon everyone else. They were full of modern ideas, and pretended they were real. The model boat, who had lived through 2 seasons and lost most of its paint, caught the tone from them and never missed an opportunity of referring to his rigging in technical terms. The rabbit could not claim to be a model of anything, for he didn't know that real rabbits existed. He thought they were all stuffed with sawdust like himself, and he understood that sawdust was quite out of date and should never be mentioned in modern circles. Even Timothy, the jointed wooden lion, who was made by the disabled soldiers, and who should have broader views, put on airs, and pretended he was connected with the government. Between them all the poor little rabbit was made to feel himself very insignificant and commonplace, and the only person who was kind to him at all was the Skin Horse. Now when it said that he didn't even know real rabbits existed, so he doesn't even know that he is a model or he's in place of something that's real in nature, because he doesn't know that. All right. The Skin Horse had lived longer in the nursery than any of the others. He was so old that his old brown coat was bald in patches, and it showed seams underneath, and most of the hairs in his tail had been pulled out to string bead necklaces. He was wise, for he had seen a long succession of mechanical toys arrive to boast and swagger, and by break their mainsprings and pass away. And he knew they were only toys and would never turn into anything else. For nursery magic is a very strange and wonderful thing, and only those playthings that are old and wise and experienced like the Skin Horse understand all about it. "What is real?" asked the rabbit one day when they were lying side by side near the nursery fender before Nana came to tidy the room. "Does it mean having things that buzz inside you and a stick-out handle?" "Real isn't how you're made," said the Skin Horse. "It's a thing that happens to you when a child loves you for a long, long time. Not just to play with, but really loves you. Then you become real." "Does it hurt?" asked the rabbit. "Sometimes," said the Skin Horse, for he was always truthful. "When you're real, you don't mind being hurt." "Does it happen all at once, like being wound up, or bit by bit?" "It doesn't happen all at once," said the Skin Horse. "You become. It takes a long time. That's why it doesn't often happen to people who break easily or have sharp edges, or who have to be carefully kept. Generally, by the time you're real, most of your hair has been loved off, your eyes drop out, and you get loose in the joints and become very shabby. But these things don't matter at all, because once you are real, you can't be ugly, except to people who don't understand." I suppose you are real, said the rabbit, and then he wished he had not said it, for he thought the Skin Horse might be sensitive. But the Skin Horse only smiled. The boy's uncle made me real, he said. It was a great many years ago, but once you are real, you don't become unreal again. It lasts for always. The rabbit sighed. He thought it would be a long time before this magic called real happened to him. He longed to become real, to know what it felt like. Yet the idea of growing shabby and losing his eyes and whiskers was rather sad. He wished he could become it without those uncomfortable things happening to him. There was a person called Nana who ruled the nursery. Sometimes she took no notice of the playthings lying about, and sometimes, for no reason whatever, she went swooping about like a great wind and hustled them away into the cupboards. She called this tidying up, and the playthings all hated it, especially the tin ones. Rabbit didn't mind it so much, for wherever he was thrown, he came down soft. One evening when the boy was going to bed, he couldn't find his china dog that always slept with him. So a china dog is made out of something like, oh, I think I have some china. This would be a china cup. So a dog, it would be a hard dog made of china. Here, she said, take your old bunny. He'll do to sleep with you. And she dragged the rabbit by an ear and put him in the boy's arms. That night, for many, many nights after, the Velveteen Rabbit slept in the boy's bed. At first he found it rather uncomfortable, for the boy hugged him tight, and sometimes he rolled over on him, and sometimes he pushed him so far under the pillow that the rabbit could scarcely breathe. And he missed, too, those long moonlit hours in the nursery, when all the house was silent, and his talks with the Skin Horse. But very soon he grew to like it, for the boy used to talk to him, and he made nice tunnels for him under the bedclothes like burrows that real rabbits lived in. And they had splendid games together in whispers when Nana had gone away to her supper and left the nightlight burning on the mantelpiece. And when the boy dropped off to sleep, the rabbit would snuggle down close under his warm chin and dream, while the boy's hands were clasped close around him all night long. And so time went on, and the little rabbit was very happy. So happy that he never noticed how his velveteen fur was getting shabbier and shabbier, and his tail was becoming unsewn, and all the pink rubbed off of his nose where the boy kissed him. Spring came, and they had long days in the garden, for wherever the boy went, the rabbit went too. He had rides in a wheelbarrow, picnics on the grass, and lovely fairy hunts built for him under the raspberry canes behind the flower border. And once, when the boy was called away suddenly to go out to tea, the rabbit was left on the lawn until long after dusk. Nana had to come look for him with the candle, because the boy couldn't go to sleep unless he was there. He was wet with the dew and quite earthy from diving into the burrows the boy had made for him in the flower bed. And Nana grumbled as she rubbed him off with the corner of her apron. You must have your old bunny, she said. Fancy all that fuss for a toy. That's him getting a little shabbier there. And he's outside. The boy sat up in bed and stretched his hands. Give me my bunny, he said. You mustn't say that. He isn't a toy. He's real. When the rabbit heard that, he was happy, for he knew what the Skin Horse had said was true at last. The nursery magic had happened to him, and he was a toy no longer. He was real. The boy himself had said it. That night he was almost too happy to sleep, and so much love stirred in his little sawdust heart that it almost burst. And into his boot-button eyes that had long ago lost their polish, there came a look of wisdom and beauty, so that even Nana noticed it next morning when she picked him up and said, I declare if that old bunny hasn't got quite a knowing expression. Ooh. So I think she can even tell that now he's real. He's had the nursery magic. So my bunny here is quite new and sparkling and fresh. She's not very tattered, but I do have a friend from when I was younger than y'all. I think I was 7 years old when I got this bear. I call him Ted. But if you noticed, right here it's rubbed. There's no skin. His nose used to be black, but it's rubbed off. His ears are kind of scruffy. He used to have a wind up, and it's gone. Because this guy definitely became real to me because I gave him so much love. So I hope you have something like that at your house. Why don't you go find it for the next reading? All right, take care.